Welcome to The Ride with Chevy and Nasty. Host Randy Chevrier and Sheldon Napastia guide you through great stories that spark great conversations. Two really big guys talking a big game. The boys are locked in and ready to go. Welcome to The Ride.
Welcome to The Ride and Happy New Year, all of you. And thanks for joining us back again. It's been a couple of weeks. Some much needed time off, I'm sure, for all of us. I'm interested to hear in the chat line how many pounds everybody's put on, but we are back. It's 2025. It's a brand new year, but we're still brought to you by Performance Freight Management, We Drone Real Estate Media. I shouldn't screw that up. That's my company. And YYC Calgary Business Group. Chev, Happy New Year to you, buddy.
Happy New Year, Sheldon. Happy New Year to our producer, Trey, and Happy New Year to everyone joining us. Whether you're live or whether you download this podcast on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Facebook, just thanks for joining us. It was a nice little needed rest. We come back rested and recharged. We got some new graphics. Look at that, some fancy writing. We're
I like the font,
we're onward and upward. Look at the font. That's like an aggressively good font.
Yeah, I'm digging it. So what do we got? What do we got on the docket for today, Chev?
Well, first of all, it's our 57th episode, and the best 57s of all time. We got Chris Burns. I don't know. Do you know Chris Burns?
Oh yeah,
yeah. I think he finished his career in BC, if I'm not mistaken. And
I think I had a brief time with him there. I think it was in Hamilton. I think he was in Hamilton at one point. There or Edmonton, I can't remember.
Offensive lineman, right?
Yeah, offensive lineman. Yeah.
I know he lost a ton of weight post-career. I think he did a lot of BC Lions and TSN Vancouver sportscasts and stuff. And I'm not sure. Trey, you got to tell me, who's the guy on the left as I look at him, because he looks kind of familiar, but Trey surprises us once in a while with a player. Sheldon, do you know who that is?
Yeah, I do. I can't remember his name right now. He is Ricky Williams. That's it, Ricky Williams. When I was doing my research earlier, I came across
remember.
Well, look, no, that's the same guy. This was after. Yeah, he came, put on a few pounds, went back to the Saints. No, totally different Ricky Williams.
Had some poutine, but I wore 57. I wore 57 when I made my comeback 2 years ago at the Stampeders. I couldn't get 56 because really great linebacker Jameer Thurman was there. I showed up only for the playoffs, and I wasn't going to take back my own number, and I was just happy to be there. So I got the 57 Chevy, and I was very happy to get any type of jersey. But I thought, the 57, I have that jersey upstairs. I never wore it in a game. But they made it for me, and it's one more Stampeder number to the collection.
Yeah. Well, how many numbers was that? I know you were 56, 76.
Yeah. 57.
57. Did you ever have like a
60?
And 60? Yeah, that was it. That was
60 was my first year when we first started playing together. Yeah, Jamin says poutine. Yeah, that's Ricky Williams after he comes to Canada, eats a lot of poutine, and then goes back to the NFL. But yeah, Sheldon, let's get the show on the road. I think my internet was cutting out a little bit, but powered by Performance Freight Management, We Drone Real Estate Media, and YYC Business, tonight we're going to give you some 300-pound poetry, as we always do. We got to talk about the biggest news. It's 225. It's 2025, and the biggest news hit on the 6th day of the year, on my mom's birthday, actually, January 6th. Trudeau resigned. And then we'll continue on with a little 2024 year in review. We're dropping a new podcast soon. Yeah. And then we're going to keep it rolling with some other stuff. Why don't you take it away?
Yeah, well, because of course the NFL playoffs are just around the corner right now. That's kind of getting to be an exciting time of year. And then to end it off, we're going to finish up a little studs and duds and trade. All excited over the holidays. Netflix is now streaming WWE. Apparently Raw is going to be live every Monday. And they've got just a ton of content out there. I missed it this weekend, but we're going to hear a little bit more about that. So, guys, stick around. We got a good one, but I think, as always, why don't we kick this off with a little 300-pound poetry?
And now, 300-pound poetry with Chevy and Nasty.
Is 2025 our first episode of the year? Did you think we'd not come back? Was that a legitimate fear?
He's finally out as our embattled Prime Minister. It was time for Trudeau to go. And we're not saying that to be sinister.
That does rhyme. That was good. But amid so many failures and so many party scandals, billions over budget, and a government and country left in shambles.
For him to not see this sooner, that man must be blind. Instead of timing this announcement to keep our nation strong, all he does is leave us in a bind.
So as the Liberals search for a leader during a selfish 3-month government pause, Donald Trump will be hitting Canada with tariffs and supporting his protectionist laws.
But it could have been worse. We could have not shown up for the show. Then you'd have no Chevy and Nasty to go along with no more Justin Trudeau.
There you go.
They're not all
Fair
home
trade.
runs.
Yeah, no, you know what? That wasn't bad though, because I was going through. We changed the orders here because there's that one line I could not read. I could not make it rhyme.
Yeah.
And you know what? You just read it, and it makes perfect sense.
Sounded okay.
Prime Minister it sounded great, dude. It sounded
Prime
like you're
Minister.
you're entering the 2025 season in peak form. Well done.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And it was politically focused. There was no sports references. It was one topic. But how can you not? This is huge news. I would say we lean into sports a lot. We love sports. We lean into pop culture a lot. But every once in a while, we got to hit something political, especially something this big. We talked about Trump earlier in the fall during the election. We talked did we talk about Chrystia Freeland leaving? Yeah, we did. The last episode right before Christmas, before we took our break, Chrystia Freeland resigned. And now here we are, or resigned from cabinet. And here we are, January 6th, going into a very, 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 very important year as Trump is about to take over the United States. He's threatened tariffs to Canada. He has everyone scrambling up north. Our Prime Minister resigns, which, I would say a lot of people are happy about, but the timing sure as heck puts us in a bind, and the way he went about doing it by pausing and proroguing the government puts us in a real weak position. Sheldon, I know you're an expert on this stuff. Yeah, I would say you follow it a lot more closely.
Yeah, I'm definitely not an expert, but I follow it closely.
I want to hear your thoughts.
What you just said there, timing is absolutely terrible. This is kind of, the whole thing of Trudeau being his arrogance and his narcissism. It's all about him. It's really come out to bite us badly this time. I mean, the polls were going against him since last fall, right? Where they're able to cobble together a minority government propped up by Jagmeet Singh. But you know what? The writing's been on the wall for months, at least in the summer. It was looking like there was no chance that, that there was going to be a re-election of Trudeau, but he just wouldn't listen to the people out there. And Jagmeet Singh, and he almost can't blame the guy. He just propped him up the whole way. Like, if I'm the leader of the NDP, and here's the thing that bugs me. I get why he's doing it, aside from the pension, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But if you're elected to represent this group of voters, and you get into this arrangement where you've never had more power, no more control, more limelight to really push the agenda. Like, I get you can make an argument that's how government works. But is there anybody really out there that doesn't think the only reason he was holding on was to get to that February date where he gets that $2 million pension guaranteed for the rest of his life? I mean, come on, like this.
And you're talking about Jagmeet.
Talk about guys making selfish decisions. Jagmeet Singh.
He's been duplicitous all along. I mean, if anyone actually had the power to save Canada and put us in a stronger position right now at this time of year, at this very critical moment, it should have been Jagmeet Singh. Justin Trudeau, I have no love for the man, as you know, but I do have, I would say, liberal tendencies as well as conservative tendencies. But as far as a leader and the consistent lack of his tone deafness to the things he speaks about on one side of and the things that he does, and the scandals. You talk about the We organization scandal. You talk about the SNC Lavalin, the Aga Khan. He's just so unaware of the common person. And he's so unaware. Like, I mean, you say what you want about Donald Trump in the United States, and I'm not a fan of his, but he seems to be more in tune with what the common man wants and needs. And you look up here, and Trudeau is he's just so in the clouds. He's lived in the clouds his entire things like again, I know I hate to keep bringing it up, but the blackface and so many scandals in terms of his government and his policies that just you got to be blind not to see that things are wrong. And so as a leader, like it was time to go. But then you talk about a $62 billion debt. You talk about his caucus leaving.
No, deficit.
Deficit.
That's just in 1 year.
Yeah. Like all these things lead to poor leadership, poor organization. It's like we're going to talk about sports later, but you talk about the teams that consistently stuck in the NFL, the Jets, the Browns, the Bears. They do things wrong at the top. It's not because they have bad players, and it's not because they have terrible fans. It's because they do things poorly at the top, and it permeates through the organization. If you want to look at the Liberal Party, that's what they are. They have a leader that's out of touch with the common people. He makes decisions based on what he thinks is right. Now, this is the thing. Like, what he thinks is right is what put us where we are. And you can't blame him because that's his nature. Like, you can blame him for his nature, but when we talked about Jagmeet Singh clearly had a different perspective and clearly left him there so that he could, as you say, collect that pension, and it's put us in the situation where we're at now. Like, I blame Trudeau for his policies and his lack of vision and his lack of leadership and a lot of questionable decisions.
And his basic douchebaggery over the last 9 years.
Absolutely. All that stuff. Like the picture that we see of Trudeau, that's what I don't like. But when you talk about,
and that is a great point, because he is exactly who he told us he was going to be, and that's on Trudeau. Yeah, he never showed us anything differently, and that's on him, and that's on the voters that supported him. And I get it; elections are going to go, it should be crossing up. Not one party's going to win all the time, but Jagmeet Singh has been single-handedly propping this government up for over a year. And I'll tell you what, like, some of the things that you don't even think about, like, you hear about tariffs and protectionist. Well, it's not really just really about that. It's about Trump is stepping out, and he's going to make his way. He's going to make things happen fast, whether the world's ready or not. He's going to change the world. He already is changing the world.
Yeah.
But then you take a look at the leadership we have, like at Jagmeet Singh, he's looking at something different. The polls right now coming out of his home riding in BC has him in second or third place. He's not even going to win his seat next election. This is pure selfishness, and there's nothing that we as Canadian people can do about it, and that drives me crazy. You can fire quarterbacks, you can change, you can vote an election, but as long as these guys are propping themselves up, we're stuck.
Yeah, it's like hitting black ice on the highway, and you're going to crash, and you can't do anything about it. That's what this next 3 months is. Like you said, Trump's going to do what he's got to do, whether we're ready or not. And we've got 10 provinces, 3 territories, and I have to say, over the holidays, banding together to try to at least stem some of that. But the leadership that we require is not from the provincial level. It's from a federal level, and it's not there. And, we have Pierre Poilievre that's in line maybe to be the next prime minister. I mean, he seems to be the front runner at this point. I can't see anyone from the Liberal Party stepping into any sort of majority, because they're going to inherit a mess when Parliament starts. And then you talk about Jagmeet Singh. I mean, if anyone is again, I use the word duplicitous, because he pretends to be one thing and then he writes something else. Like, he had this scathing letter about Justin Trudeau the other day, but yet he's known this for the last year and a half, 2 years. We could have avoided this situation if he did the right thing, and he never did the right thing. And therefore we are in the wrong situation. So Sheldon, we got about a minute before we got to get out here. Trudeau is going to leave office. Many will celebrate. Many, maybe people will keep the stickers on the back of their vans and their trucks. But Trudeau's leaving. What do you see in his future? You got a crystal ball. Give me a list of Trudeau's and Trudeau's as he leaves. What do you think he should do or not do?
I think what he should do is just disappear back into his fancy parties and his Laurentian elites and just stay out of the public eye. But what he's going to follow my big don't here. and he's going to keep pushing. As long as there's countries out there willing to listen to this progressive agenda that's been sinking the world for the last few years, he's going to have a job with the UN, WHO, where he can walk around and feel important and rub shoulders with other trust fund kids. But I think the Trudeau's, you know, I don't think he's got anything in him that's going to keep him from doing the true don't. So I think it's just kind of wait and see.
Trudeau. Yeah, I think he needs to take a financial literacy course.
Budgets balance
to understand that money coming in and money coming out are two different things. And if you have more money going out than coming in, you can't pay the bills. I know that's the case for me at home. I know that's the case for you, and I know that's the case for anyone that has to support a family, support a business, support a country. And right now we're in a situation where a big mess needs to clean up. So I'm just hoping that True doesn't get back into any sort of politics, even at a local or provincial level. That's, you know, because that's the last thing we need to see. No. But yeah, you know, go to Taylor Swift concerts, go skiing, go be a drama teacher, but don't be that teacher that shows up in blackface to a party, because he was teaching when he did one of those. And really just let the country get back to where it needs to go. You know, he's going to get an airplane and maybe a library named after him and the street.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
for sure, which is kind of weird. But listen, Sheldon, we got to take a break, guys. We're going to take a quick break. Remember, you can find us at Chevy and Nasty, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, X, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and we always are featured on YYC Business. Go check it out. Go check out YYC Business, and I can't forget TikTok. Listen, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll get into a little bit of CFL year in review, talk about what was good, what was bad, and what's to come.
Performance Freight Management is a global logistic freight shipping company that will handle the entire shipping process for any package to any country. Whether it be a simple truck shipment from your office to Toronto or your company importing generators from China, PFM Freight handles it all. We have the expertise and technology to handle any shipping requirements. Skip the guesswork and let us take the shipping pain off your plate.
Do you want your business to be known? YYCCalgaryBusiness.ca is Calgary's only online media platform that gets you noticed. Short-form video content is rapidly taking over as the most effective way to engage your audience. Whether you're being interviewed on a vodcast, sharing a sizzle reel, or even hosting your own show, there is one place you can publicize your business. We want to tell your story and introduce you to our network of empowered business owners and leaders right here in Calgary. Isn't it time you took your digital game to 11? Call us or email us now.
Oh, you got back in the seat just in time. I just saw
I was just readjusting. I was just reaching for my phone and readjusting.
So you got some new lighting this year or something? It seems a little bit more like
I just wanted to play with something a little bit different.
Like
so
chill mood. I changed the angle. Someone told me that a few people told me that the TV in the background, you know, my little fail army that I used to play, was a little distracting. My son Luke said, "Dad, when you get big, you're gonna get sued by having that." Was his comment. But yeah, so I kind of changed the angle up a little bit, changed my seating. I'm in a little bit more of a comfortable chair, but I'm happy that we're in 2025. I'm happy we had a little break. I feel recharged. But how do you feel about getting back to the show? I tell you, I was a little bit nervous. I'm always nervous when we do the show, but after 2 weeks, I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of enjoyed the fact that I didn't feel stressed. And I think it's a positive stress when we do the show, because we want to have a fun show, we want to have a good show, but obviously we're balancing it with full-time lives of everything else we do, and sometimes we don't get to put the attention that we'd like to. So for 2 weeks it felt pretty good not having to be like, okay, I gotta figure out how to fit in prepping for the show or doing a show thumbnail or writing a poem, and just enjoying the downtime when I had it, but I didn't. But I'm excited now that we're back. It's fun.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, for me, like, you know me, I'm a cave guy. I love going hard. I love having fun. I love kind of the jam of it all. But if there's a chance to actually just get the weight off your shoulders and your feet up for a little bit and recharge, that I love that. And that's what I did. I mean, I baked cookies this Christmas. I did all those things. A lot of years I say I want to try things. I did a bunch of them this year. I played more games of chess than I can remember. I baked cookies. I worked on some new recipes. Went and saw my mom in Edmonton. And you know what I didn't do? I didn't race to answer my phone every time. I just took a little bit of downtime. And I don't know. For me, I think it's so important that a person actually does unplug every now and then just to catch their breath. So I loved it. For me, it was a perfect break.
Yeah, and I don't unplug as often as you do. I seem to live on that high revving threshold all the time, and this time was a little different during Christmas. I had my sister in town. I had my 3 nieces. We went to Drayton Valley to spend Christmas with my girlfriend's family. We drove back Canmore. It was a lot, but it was fun. It was really good. But I'm actually very, very excited to be back on the show. But you can't go into 225 without looking back at 2024 and really, we talked about what we lean into, and we heavily lean into the CFL, of course. And last week, I guess on December 31st, so maybe a week and a bit ago, 3 Down Nation released their top 10 stories of 2024. Sheldon, where do you want to go with this?
Well, you know what? It's it was kind of interesting, wasn't it? Because you shared that article with me. I took a look at it. There's a lot of things like, they missed a lot of my favorite stories of the year. How do you want to set this up? Does Trey have the list for us? Is this
Well, he's got a couple of stories put up. I mean, the number 10 for them was Brady Oliveira. And I thought, okay, yeah, Brady Oliveira, a great story, right? He turned down a lot of money to go elsewhere, stick with the hometown team. Had a rough start. I remember when he wasn't going at the beginning of the season, we thought, oh, maybe Winnipeg's on a downslide. And then he comes back and has a great season. Wins the MOP and the Canadian of the Year. And I thought that was a great story, but there's a couple in there. There's a story about Darian Durant, talking about how he didn't become the Bombers coach because of a conversation with a coach. And, none of those were really big CFL stories. As you go down the list, I think the one that kind of strikes me that I kind of agree with was a big one was Nathan Rourke coming back to the CFL.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that was a huge one. And that was their number 3. And, not only did he come back at the right time for him and what should have been the BC Lions at the time, he really upset the QB market. I think I think his not only his contract, but his position in BC that was basically guaranteed to him really set a bunch of dominoes in motion during the season that were going to be tipped at the end of the season. And we saw it. And I think for me, that was almost one of my biggest stories was Nathan Rourke, but that quarterback shuffle we saw at the end of the season. What about you? Where do you think this ranks for you?
Well, to me, it was interesting to have like an actual big CFL sports story midway through the year. And for me, that changed everything. You had the season going on and the quarterbacks were already having a strong year. Offenses were good in the CFL. But this absolutely blew it up and started, like you said, the chain reaction. And I think there's been, 4 teams now with changes at quarterback that to me, and maybe possibly even more to come as the offseason goes on. And a lot of this was just caused by the excitement and the changes, knowing that Vernon Adams would be coming available. It just started things happening.
Do you think Nathan Rourke lives up to his contract next year? I mean, he was coming from the NFL, probably rusty, mid-season, new receivers that he didn't have the year before.
No, I think he
returns to form.
I think he does. I'm gonna be optimistic on that. It's tough coming back from the NFL, especially when you're not playing and you're not in any game action. You've been playing a different game and you're tossed into a tough situation. I mean, it wasn't fair to anybody, in the Lions to expect him to be, right back to where he left off. But I think with an off season to train, watch film, and a full training camp and spring program, he's going to be good to go. But for me, one of the biggest stories of the year, probably more on sort of the negative side, but with the after the Grey Cup, having Kadeem Carey come out and absolutely rail and point the finger directly at Dave Dickenson is something you just don't see every day. Dave Dickinson's, legendary player and coach. Kadeem Carey is a hell of a running back. And for him to come out and to air those grievances is just something you don't usually see in the CFL. And certainly not one that actually felt like it was sort of, there's some credibility to it. It got people thinking. It got people maybe looking at the Calgary Stampeders a little bit differently, and probably got this force the Stampeders to take a bit of a fresh look at themselves too. What are we doing as an organization? It was a bad look. I'm just not used to seeing CFL players coming out and making that strong of a move.
Yeah, I agree that that was a big move. Like, that was a big statement. And I think it came on the heels where Stampeders don't make the playoffs for the first time in 20 years. Shaky at the quarterback position, which also happens to be the position that's overseen by Dave Dickinson.